General Grievous and Anakin Skywalker, both heroes to their sides respectively, and both have committed countless war crimes. And on the battlefield, it's safe to say that these two warriors were second only to each other. And while we know that in canon and legends they never fought against each other, a question that has been lingering in the minds of fans forever is who would actually win if the two were to fight. Before we dive in, I just want to make one thing clear though. This is all purely my own opinion, and if you disagree with that, that's completely fine. Now with that said, let's get into it. Here's how I'll be deciding who takes the win for this battle. First, we're going to assume that these two characters randomly encounter each other with no time to prepare. Second, the fight will take place towards the end of the Clone Wars, and we will be using the 2003 Clone Wars General Grievous, also known as the Legends version of General Grievous. We also will be using the Legends and canon version of Anakin Skywalker as well, and we'll be using both of them at the peak of their power. And finally, I will be analyzing their strengths, weaknesses, and fighting styles to see who will truly come out on top. Starting with Anakin. Anakin Skywalker, known as the Chosen One throughout the entire galaxy, was gifted with a power unmatched by most Jedi. His midichlorian count was the highest on record, which gave him a deep connection to the Force. In both canon and legends, this connection allowed him to achieve a level of power that put him on a path to possibly surpassing Yoda. His natural talent with the Force enabled him to learn and master techniques with extraordinary speed. For example, Anakin was highly proficient in sensing emotions, a gift he used to read opponents and anticipate their actions. His telekinetic power was strong enough to topple large objects and even overpower other Force users, although he tended to use this ability only when absolutely necessary. Anakin also favored Force Choke as well, although he didn't use this quite as often. Despite these talents, however, Anakin preferred to focus mainly on lightsaber combat, which is where his true strength shined. He quickly became one of the most formidable duelists in the entire galaxy, mastering Form 5 Xian/Degem So, an aggressive style built around overwhelming opponents with powerful strikes. This form also infantized counter strikes, where Anakin's raw strength allowed him to deflect and turn an enemy's blow back on them. His proficiency with his style was near flawless. Even veteran fighters like Count Dooku struggled against him, and for reference, Count Dooku was widely regarded as one of the best duelists in the entire galaxy at his time. His victory over Dooku in Revenge of the Sith was a testament to show how far Anakin had come, as he managed to overpower one of the galaxy's most skilled duelists. One of Anakin's defining traits in both canon and legends was his abilities to push beyond the normal limits by using the Force to enhance his speed and agility. This allowed him to keep pace with almost any opponent, whether that be on foot or during high-speed dogfights in space. His ability to enhance his reflexes in battle made him a nightmare to face, with reaction times that could block attacks most would never even see coming. However, this reliance on physical power in lightsaber combat came at the expense of his broader use of the Force. While he was incredibly gifted, Anakin did not fully explore the depth of Force abilities like his Jedi peers. His raw potential was vividly clear, but his emotions limited his growth. Anakin's arrogance, fueled by his knowledge that he was the Chosen One, often made him very overconfident in battle. He believed himself superior to the other Jedi, which blinded him to crucial details. For instance, his confidence led him to rush into many situations without fully considering the consequences that may happen, such as his fight with Dooku in Attack of the Clones and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, both fights where his recklessness cost him dearly. Anakin's biggest weakness, however, was his inability to control his emotions. Throughout the Clone Wars, his attachments to those who he loved and his fear of loss drove him deeper to the dark side. His anger and frustration often clouded his judgment, as seen when he slaughtered the Tusken Raiders in Attack of the Clones after the death of his mother, or when he executed Count Dooku in cold blood under Palpatine's manipulation. These moments of unchecked emotions exposed the fragility balance within Anakin, a Jedi who was torn between both the light and dark. This emotional instability was what Palpatine preyed on, slowly twisting Anakin's fears of losing Padme into a path that led him down the dark side. And now, with Anakin out of the way, let's move on to Grievous. Using the 2003 animated Clone Wars version of General Grievous, we see a character whose speed and agility was unparalleled. Even among the Jedi, General Grievous was so fast that he could dodge Force abilities by simply leaping out of the way, a feat that very few non-Force users could even hope of achieving. His ability allowed him to evade entire barrages of blaster fire with ease, often appearing as a blur on the battlefield. In fact, his speed was so incredible that it is stated that he became nearly invisible to the naked eye when moving at full capacity. This meant that even the most skilled Jedi found it nearly impossible to keep up with him in close combat, as his movements could overwhelm even their heightened senses of the strongest Jedi. This superior speed came from his advanced cybernetics, which not only enhanced his natural reflexes, but also gave him the ability to move with such precision that no organic being could match it unless they were incredibly powerful with the Force. General Grievous was able to launch sudden, unpredictable attacks that left little time for his opponents to react, often disorienting them before going in for the kill. His rapid, whirlwind-like offense style made him a terrifying opponent in lightsaber duels, where his forearm technique allowed him to wield multiple lightsabers simultaneously at blinding speed and deadly precision. General Grievous also used his menacing appearance to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies. As if he could destroy a Jedi's concentration, he would destroy their ability to use the Force and to properly defend against him. When it comes to strength, while not as dominant as his speed, Grievous's enhanced cybernetic body made him far superior than most beings he countered. His mechanical limbs granted him the ability to easily overpower clones, Mandalorians, and even Jedi in sheer physical force. He was also known to crush the helmets of clone troopers and Mandalorians and skulls with his bare hands. And for reference, he would crush Mandalorian armor which was made of Beskar. His cybernetic enhancements also gave him the strength to rip apart Durasteel, a feat that would be impossible for even the strongest of non-cybernetic warriors. Though his strength was secondary to his speed, it was still a crucial advantage, as he could break through the defense of his enemies with sheer power if his speed didn't do the job first. Grievous's durability was also a standout feature in Legends. His cybernetic body was mostly resilient to any form of lightsaber strikes, with only his exposed joints being vulnerable. This gave him a distinct advantage in battle, as his opponents had to land very precise hits to do any real damage. Grievous could also tank multiple blaster bolts without being phased, and his body was able to endure even the most extreme of punishments, such as being exploded, thrown out of an airlock, and shot at. For example, he was once thrown into multiple stone statues with such force that they shattered under him, something that would kill any normal person, but Grievous, not being normal, stood right up and continued fighting without even slowing down. His mechanical resilience made him nearly unstoppable in combat, allowing him to push through injuries that would incapacitate most organic beings. His cybernetic frame was essentially a walking tank, designed to withstand the most brutal of encounters. In Legends, General Grievous was even capable of withstanding prolonged engagement with little to no damage, giving him an edge in drawn-out battles where endurance was key. His body, enhanced for combat efficiency, was designed to outlast and overpower his foes, with his only major weakness being his vulnerable organs, like his lungs, which were heavily protected but still susceptible to damage if struck directly. And finally, General Grievous was also a master strategist, being able to read and adapt to his opponent's fighting styles quickly. His enhanced cybernetic brain allowed him to calculate and adjust his attacks in real time, copying the movements of his enemies and countering them almost instantaneously. This adaptability, combined with his raw physical power, speed, and durability, made him one of the most deadly threats to the Jedi Order. However, his lack of force sensitivity combined with his arrogance and tendency to toy with his opponents remained as his greatest weaknesses. These flaws left openings that could be exploited by a skilled and patient opponent. However, General Grievous's enhanced cybernetic brain was so powerful he could copy a Jedi's fighting style in mere moments, such examples being when he was fighting Mace Windu. In the matter of only a few moments, General Grievous was able to analyze and copy Mace Windu's use of a pod, which for those of you who don't know, took him decades to master, something that General Grievous did in only a few moments. And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, who would win? But before I reveal my conclusion, I just want to remind you that this is purely my own opinion, and you can have your own thoughts and disagree with me if you want. That's part of the fun, no one's answer has to be the exact same. But after carefully weighing in their strengths and weaknesses, one thing became clear. If this battle was between canon General Grievous and Anakin Skywalker, the victory would almost always go to Anakin, though not without great difficulty. But we're not dealing with canon Grievous here, we're talking about Legends Grievous, and that changes everything. In Legends continuity, Grievous's speed, strength, and agility are taken to such extreme levels. I personally believe that 6 out of 10 times, he would overpower Anakin and beat him. His relentless assaults, fueled by cybernetic enhancements that made him nearly untouchable in battle, would leave even the Chosen One struggling to keep up. General Grievous's ability to evade almost every strike, coupled with his monstrous strength and advanced combat algorithm, could overwhelm Anakin, who would rely heavily on his lightsaber prowess and the Force. Without time to prepare, General Grievous's fear, physicality, agility and speed might just be too much for Anakin to counter. However, there's always the wild card with Anakin. Due to this being Legends Anakin, he's also much stronger, but then again, not as strong as Grievous. However, with his quick thinking and natural improvisation, in a battle with no preparation, these traits would be key to an unexpected victory. But then again, there's also the ultimate variable, the dark side. If Anakin were to tap into his darker emotions using the raw fury of his power of the dark side, as he has done in many crucial moments before, the outcome would shift dramatically. As we've seen when Anakin fully embracing his anger and hatred was nearly unstoppable. We've seen him tear through his opponents in a frenzy with the dark side only held back by his overconfidence. So I believe that if Anakin tapped into his dark side potential and let go of his restraint and unleashed his full power, then General Grievous would fall under him. And in that case, I believe that Anakin would take the win. It's a close, brutal fight either way, but if Anakin lets the darkness guide him, General Grievous wouldn't stand a chance. So in short, if we're referring to light side Anakin, most of the time he would lose, but if we're referring to dark side Anakin, he would crush Grievous. But overall, I personally believe that the 2003 General Grievous would be able to crush Anakin if they fought without any preparation. Thank you all so much for listening in on this channel's Who Would Win. I hope you all enjoyed this, and if you did, and you want to decide who should fight next, let me know in the comments, and I will gladly take all of your suggestions into consideration. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to like and subscribe as it would help the channel out a ton. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, make sure to click on screen now. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.